Oh, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Almost hit y'all with this one. This is the Roku. It's the new addition to the Nacchin line. So we've had a bunch of different versions of the 1/35th scale Nacchin tank out from Kotobukiya, designed by Moi-san. This is his new design brought to life in plastic model kit form here, the Roku. More of a kind of round boy design in comparison with this one, but looks like it has some really cool features. And so this one should be really fun to check out. I'm really interested in finding out what this new design is going to be like kind of in hand to get like a proper sense of it. So let's go ahead and check it out here for today's video. So as always with these, the box art is really cool. Here we've got two of the Roku in the front, and then there in the back you can see the Nacchin with the cat ears, which if you guys remember to the Gunpla delivery video where I got this, I mentioned that I hoped that that means that this cat ear version of the Nacchin will be coming soon, and in fact in the time between then and now, we have got an announcement that that is going to be coming out, so really looking forward to that. But just to take a nice close-up look here at the Roku, you can see some really nice details and weathering in this illustration. They even have like the markings on them and everything, so really nice. Going around here onto the side of the box, we've got the same illustration there, and some more photographs here on the bottom showing the front and back of the kit there. Some action poses showing some of the posability of the kit right there, comparison with the Nacchin, so you can see it's going to be about the same height, maybe slightly larger, just kind of in terms of just kind of its body bulk there. And then over here, a look at everything that's included. So we are going to have a little stand, some eye, faceplate option parts, some visor parts, option parts there, some connection pieces, and then these included MSG weapons. So these are not unique to this particular kit. Those are MSG weapons that are available separately, but that's what we're going to have included here. And there is the unpainted kit just straight out of the box without any painting. It does look pretty nice. There on the other side, some information of introduction of Nacchin over here, just a kind of a little bit of backstory. And then we've got the list price over here for this one at 4,200 yen. Let's go ahead and pop the box if I can. Okay. We'll take a look at the runners in just a moment. Let's first take a look here at the instruction manual and decals, I guess, while we're here. So a couple little things. Here is our pre-printed part there for the visor with the eyes there printed with black and yellow on that green part. But then on our waterslide decal sheet, you can see here some of the other options we have for the eyes. So like looking left, looking right, these kind of blue eyes there, and these other different cool markings on there. We also have a bunch of markings here with numbers and lining bits, some red and black, and it's kind of a dark gray, I guess, probably, and white for the majority of those decals. It looks really nice. And for the instruction manual, we just have a close-up of the illustration from the box art here. On the back side, just the wraparound of that. On the inside here, there's a look at the outline of Roku, so the illustration here with Natsuki, which is another thing that's going to be coming with the cat ears version of the Nacchin, is finally going to include a pilot figure as well, so that's another thing I'm really looking forward to. That'll be cool. Here's some more illustration work of some of the different aspects of the design. The outrigger leg, the multi-purpose fork claw. Yeah, that looks really cool. Over here on the opposite page, we've got a bunch of different poses. Here also showing some compatibility with some other MSG weapons on there. So of course, everything's going to be compatible. It'll have hard points for you to be able to mix and match parts, which is awesome. The following page is just going to be our parts list here and then into the construction. So just kind of skipping through the construction here to the end. At the back pages here, we've got our color and decal guide. So it's showing where all the decals are going to go, and then also all the colors are listed here on the side for you. Also have some nice reference images here of the weapons and just some detail images there of the kit. So that looks really nice. So starting off with the A runner here, you can see this is in that really nice color of green. There's some of our larger parts on there, but some nice detail in areas where there is some more detail. Obviously in these big round areas, you just don't have a whole lot of surface detail on there. Runner B is a smaller runner. We've got two of these for parts for the arms and legs, I'm gonna guess, for those. And then we've got runner C, which is in a darker green color, just in comparison to show them side by side for you guys. There is our dark green on runner C. And then our third and final color for the main kit is going to be in this nice kind of dark, slightly desaturized kind of navy blue color. Here is runner D, which we've got one of, and then runner E we have two of for some more parts for what is essentially like all the joints and inner frame and detail parts and things like that part of the kit. Lastly then, our weapons parts are going to be molded in gray here. This is MW04. As I said, this is a set that is available as an MSG option set. It would come packaged like this. And while these weapons are pretty simple, they are really nicely detailed here, as you can see. Alright guys, and here is the kit all built up, this adorable round boy, a really fun build just like with the Nacchin just before it. This one also really nice, it has a ton of great detail, a lot of like wide open surfaces just for like the rounded design, but there is a lot of nice detail in there as well. Again, very similar to the Nacchin in that way. And although it's like relatively simplistic looking in its design, there's quite a lot of nice little like design features and gimmicks sort of built into this kit, surprisingly so, maybe more than it might appear on the surface. So it's a really nice, fun little kit here. Let's go ahead and check it out in some more detail. Right, so first things first, as you can see there, it was using its sort of tripod third leg tail here at the back to stand. Now you can get the kit to stand up. This tail part actually folds up here at the back like that. You can omit this entirely as well by removing that part and replacing it with this little cover piece like that. But anyway, you could get to stand on its own. I feel like it's going to be a little bit challenging because the feet are very small. They're very nicely detailed there on the bottom, but yeah, they're going to be really small and you just have a very big round body up here on top. So to get it balanced just right, I mean, it's going to be a little bit challenging, but you do have a number of options for that. So this tail piece at the back, you can use as a sort of tripod there on the back side. We do also have alternate versions of the feet that have that part there at the back, which does fold down. On this version, it's an actual moving part, but then we have other feet here which have that as just as a fixed part that will also help the kit to stand on its own without the use of any sort of third leg, as it were. But if you did want another option on top of that, you do also have this same base piece, which works the same as with the original Nacchin kit. It just plugs right up into there and is just going to act as a little stand. Now it's a ball joint at the top and a ball joint at the bottom, so you can kind of move this around at different angles. And although it's small and simple, it does actually work really well for doing like a running pose or a jumping pose or something like that. It actually does support the kit quite well, as you'll see once we get into taking a look at some different poses with this. So there's a number of different ways to get it to stand. As far as option parts for the main kit, that's going to be kind of the majority of it, those ones that we just been through, but there is also optional eye pieces. You have 4 of these blank eye parts like that. Now with these, all 4 are just blank flat pieces like that you can use the waterside decals on. That said, this piece, which is our pre-painted one, the squares for the eyes are actually like a raised detail, so it's not completely flat. That's one thing that will be different about this pre-painted one versus one of the other blank ones. If you choose to use one of the waterside decals, the actual eyes or whatever the design on it won't be an actual raised detail of that. But the rest of our accessories are going to be option weapons here. So this is just the MSG option weapons. Now you do have a couple options here for this. If you didn't want to have this sort of whatever this is meant to be here added on the bottom of the gun, you can opt for instead a secondary handle on there like that, which in my opinion just kind of looks too small. It's a bit odd looking, so I definitely prefer it with this part here on the bottom, which looks like it's maybe supposed to be like a grenade launcher, but it doesn't actually have a hole at the barrel, so maybe it's just supposed to be something, I'm not sure entirely, but we've got that. We also got this kind of like a 2-tube missile launcher, which also just has a handle here at the bottom. And we've got an option piece for the front if you didn't want to have these like closed doors, which aren't functional, by the way. You can't like pop those doors open without modifying. You can opt to just use this alternative piece instead, which is gonna look just like that, with kind of like where you can actually see like the missile tips or whatever inside there. So the trouble is with these claw hands, it doesn't really make holding on to weapons very easy. It's going to be kind of challenging to do so. So we've got some option parts here for that. Basically going to use these like adapter pieces, which will plug onto the handle. It'll hold the handle, and it should work on any of the other like MSG option weapons. The handles are usually about the same size, so this adapter piece should work for pretty much anything. And you'll see inside the hand here is a 3mm hard point where we can just plug that into. Any other sort of like effect part or anything else that uses Kotobukiya's 3mm hardpoint system would fit there into the hand like that. So that's how that's going to look. And you do have 2 of those adapters included, so you can have one on the left and one on the right side. And lastly, we do have a couple of just little option pieces. These are just extra handles which you can use. So like if you wanted to use a different MSG option weapon and the handle was the wrong size or didn't have a handle, you could use one of these handles, and then you would also then have to use that adapter piece as well. I've also got a couple of these just male-to-male connection pieces you can use as well if you wanted to add some more additional armor or weapons or something onto the kit. Because just like with with the original Nacchin, we have a number of hard points around here on this design. Not as many as the original Nacchin kit, but if you can see that little square hatch right there, you can omit that piece and you've got a hard point right there on the side. Also here on the middle of the back right there, you can omit that. And then the one that we talked about here, which is going to be a little bit different in like its connection shape. So not everything would necessarily work perfectly well right there, but you've got a number of spots like here on the side of the leg as well that if you just omit the little cover pieces, little cover hatches, you've got plenty of hard points for customization. And of course here on the side of the arm there's another hatch right there, so plenty of options where you could add things to this. Now let's talk a little bit about some of the gimmicks of the design itself and the articulation, because there's like I said, a lot more going on here than may be immediately recognizable. So starting off here at the head, the hatch of course does open up. You can pop that up and fold it back to reveal the cockpit inside. Now it's not super detailed. It would have been nice maybe if there was a little bit more detail on the inside of there, but as you can see there's plenty of space to fit a pilot figure. Unfortunately we don't have one included. Also this eye part I should mention does also fold forward slightly there like that. But we do have the version of the Nacchin Tank coming out that is going to include a seated pilot figure that I would imagine should fit into here as well if you wanted to. And that is also going to be available as like a separate option set, so you could get another one pretty easily. But aside from that opening and closing, the whole torso section, or like the top part and the bottom part, can move separately. Now you can just rotate this here, but to make the rotation movement a little bit easier, this whole top part actually pushes back slightly. So there's a little bit of forward and back movement there. Pop it back a little bit, and then you have a much easier range of movement here side to side for that. Now unfortunately that connection between the top and bottom half is not a ball joint, so getting any sort of like side to side or forward and back bend is not going to be possible like it is with the Nacchin, unfortunately. But here at the shoulder we have some movement forward and back, up and down here as well, and also of course a rotation here below that. We've got some more rotation at the kind of forearm as well. The elbow joint is going to give you not even 90 degrees, unfortunately. A little bit more of an elbow joint bend also maybe would have been nice, but again it's kind of difficult just because of the design of the kit. But the forearm part being able to rotate will be nice for if you wanted to have any sort of option weapon or armor or something like that on. You can have it as either I guess on the side of the arm or on the back of the arm, just kind of depending on how you have this part rotated. And then also the hand itself is also going to rotate there, and hand, I should say kind of claw. Each one of these three claws is individually articulated. And then inside here, if you guys look really closely, is these kind of little mini hook parts. I'm really not sure what those are for. When I was putting the kit together, I thought, okay, maybe those are going to be useful for like holding on to certain weapon handles or something, but I really don't know. Those rotate here as well, and I couldn't see anything in the manual about what those are actually for. I'm not sure. If you guys know or if you have any idea, you can let me know, but there's a couple of those little parts inside there, really tiny little parts there. Also here on the side of the body, you have these kind of like little working latch parts that work to sort of hook and unhook that middle part kind of between the top and bottom part of the body, but again doesn't really seem to be for any necessarily like useful purpose. So again, not entirely sure what that really can be used for, but it's interesting. I'm sure that there's probably a reason. I probably just don't know. I'm not aware of what it is. These sort of like fender parts here on the side above the legs can also be moved. If you pull that out a little bit, not only moved further up and down, but of course then rotated forward and back as well if needed. Now another sort of maybe missed opportunity, I think it would have been nice to have little clear parts here for those parts in the back, sort of similar to like the tail lights on some of the Marutoys kits, like the Marutoys Tamotu. But if you did want to have clear parts in there, it would be a very easy modification to make. Basically just drill that out. Cut a piece of clear runner and just pop it in there. Very easy modification. But then moving down to the hip joint, the connection of the leg into the hip is actually able to drop down a little bit, so you can actually bring that up and down, and bringing that down will allow you to move the leg farther forward, so you can actually have the kit sitting down, as you may have seen earlier, and it can look like that. It's very cute. But down here at the knee, we've got a pretty nice full bend there at the knee section, and then as I mentioned, this little bit here on the back of the foot can also move up and down. The foot itself will be able to angle side to side and also move forward and back slightly. It's a teeny tiny little foot, but you do have a pretty good range of movement here for that, just to be able to get it flat on the ground if you want. The last thing I'll mention just design wise here for the kit, there are a number of seam lines on this on the front. If you rotate that, there's one right here that continues on to the back side, this seam line down the middle of this dark green part. The upper arm doesn't have any seams, but the lower arm, both the front and back part of the lower arm, each section there does have a seam line front and back for that. And then going down here onto the thigh, you have a seam line down the middle of those thigh parts, and then also here on the kind of lower leg as well. It's sort of made to look like a panel line kind of, but this section right here on the inside is a separate part. And the only kind of part that doesn't really look like a panel line but just looks like a seam is here kind of on the back of the leg. So a number of seam lines around on the kit, just certainly not unheard of, but just letting you guys know where those are in case you are planning on working on this guy. Obviously there's going to be seam lines on the weapons as well, but other than that, a fun and very cool little kit here. Again, I'm just really glad that Kotobukiya actually is making these kits from a independent designer. This is not from an anime, it's not from a game or anything. It's just a design that, I think, fortunately for us, somebody there at Kotobukiya is a fan of Moi-san's design work and has gone ahead with producing these kits, and it's very cool to see. So after getting a number of different versions of the Nacchin, we have the Roku here and another version of the Roku out now as well. And as I mentioned earlier, there's another version of the Nacchin also on the way, which is coming with some new parts like for the cat ears and also including the pilot figure, which is something that I've really been hoping that they would make. So I'm really happy to see that Kotobukiya is supporting this line of model kits. They're a lot of fun. And the great thing about them is they make really cool kits just on their own. I mean, this is the kind of kit you could just snap it up and just build it and put it on your desk like this, and it just makes for a cool looking little robot. It's also super duper customizable, so there's a lot of opportunities there for either just like custom painting or doing some like really cool, very interesting paint work, some like very interesting like painting pattern on it or something like that, customizing it with Kotobukiya's custom parts or kit bashing or all sorts of different stuff that you could do with these that would certainly look really cool. So it's the kind of kit that if you don't want to do like any extra work on it, or if you want to do a ton of extra work on it, it's gonna look good either way, which is nice. Well, personally, from a completely subjective perspective on this, I do prefer the design of the original Nacchin more than the Roku here, but I'm interested to hear you guys' thoughts. What do you think about the Roku's design? What do you think about its particular features and characteristics? Is there anything that's really interesting, or any certain aspect of the kit that you're really looking forward to working on? Or if you've already built one, if you've already been working on one, maybe share some of your thoughts and experiences with the kit that you've had so far in the comment section. And of course, if you guys want to check out this kit or any of the other kits from Kotobukiya for yourself, you can check the link in the video description to USA Gundam Store. Got all sorts of these kits there for you guys. And then also, while you're here, if you would leave a like and or make sure if you're subscribed, that would also be very appreciated. Really am thankful to you guys for all of your support. Until next time, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see y'all later. Bye guys.